matter is, the Bible in the Aramaic sections in EZRA and in the book of Daniel calls God Allah. And if you don't believe me,
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mga kapatid, mga kaibigan, mga kababayan, ito na may another proof na ang Aramaic, Allah also, although ang pagkasulat differ in spelling, pero pronunciation the same, Allah. At isang nagpapatunay na isang Kristiyano, like for instance sa Malta, ang mga tao doon, do Christian sila, Kristiyano sila, pero ang kanilang salita ay salitang Arabic. Ang sulat nila ay hindi Arabic, Roman style ang pagkakasulat, pero tawag pa rin nila sa Panginoon doon is Allah. So pakinggan natin ito dahil ang iba kasi masyadong allergic, masyadong parabang may phobia kung makarinig ng Allah. Tumatayo na yung ang kanilang balahibo at umaasim na yung sikmura sa mga Kristiyanong walang research at sumusunod lamang sa bulag na lang leader. So dito tayo ngayon, Kristiyano ito kasi ngayong panahon na ito, hindi na mahirap mag-research. Isang pindot mo lang, malalaman mo na anong totoo. Depende sa'yo kung ang totoo hanapin mo, nandoon. Kung sinungalingan naman hanapin mo, nandoon rin. Pero the truth, sabi nga, ang katotohanan daw, katotohanan will set you free. Tingnan natin mga kapatid.
now I've done a lot of work with the Aramaic language. Aramaic is the language of Jesus. It's also one of the three original languages of the Bible, along with Hebrew and Greek. So, if you do research into Aramaic, what you're going to discover is that the word for God in Aramaic is Allah, or Allah. In modern Aramaic, they call God Allah. Now, this seems to be related to the Hebrew word Elohim. And you have this word El, which is a Semitic word which just means a generic deity. So it seems that the word Allah is not an Arabic word, it's an Aramaic word which made its way into the Arabic language, but it's based on a primitive Semitic root which merely means God. From Hebrew Elohim, Aramaic Allah, and then you get Arabic Allah. Now Hebrew, Arabic, and Aramaic are all Semitic languages, and they're closely related. And for those who don't understand the concept of language families, it's like a Romance language. Spanish and Italian are closely related because they both evolved out of Latin. And so these Semitic languages, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Arabic, evolved from a Proto-Semitic language. So when Jesus is on the cross, his words are recorded in the Gospel of Mark. In Aramaic, he says, Elohi, Elohi, lama sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me? Like you say, Allah would be your God. The fact of the matter is, certain Christians who are engaged in criticism of Islam, sometimes they will say that Allah is an idolatrous God and a false God. Now let me say, I'm going to disagree with this, but let me first say that I am not a Muslim. However, you go to the book of Daniel, if you don't believe that Allah means God, the fact of the matter is, the Bible in the Aramaic sections in EZRA and in the book of Daniel calls God Allah. And if you don't believe me, you go to Strong's.
Nung sinabi niya, sa book of Daniel daw, sa Aramaic, ay ang tinatawag din doon ay Allah. Ulitin na natin.
The matter is, the Bible in the Aramaic sections in EZRA and in the book of Daniel calls God Allah. And if you don't believe me,
Ulitin natin.
I am not a Muslim. However, you go to the book of Daniel, if you don't believe that Allah means God, the fact of the matter is, the Bible in the Aramaic sections in EZRA and in the book of Daniel calls God Allah. And if you don't believe me, you go to Strong's Concordance, you look up the word God in the book of Daniel in the Aramaic sections, chapter 2 to 7, and you look it up in the lexicon in the back, and you will find that, I think Strong's writes it is E-L-A-W, Allah. What's the difference? It just means God. So, just grammatically speaking, Allah means God. And the next fact of the matter is there are, as of now, millions of Arabic-speaking Christians in Egypt, and in their languages and in Arabic versions of the Holy Bible, God is called Allah. So this is a word that not just Muslims use for God, it's a word that Christians use for God. And if you go on the island of Malta, now the island of Malta is mentioned in the Bible, it's where Paul had his shipwreck and he washed ashore. And a snake bit him in the hand while he was drying himself off at a fire, and he threw the snake into the fire, and he was unharmed, and the people believed it's a miracle, and they believed in the Messiah from the preaching of Paul. But today, Malta is a Christian nation, and they speak a form of Arabic. And if you get a Maltese Bible, even though they speak a form of Arabic, they use the Latin alphabet because it's a Catholic country. And they call God Allah. And I've done a lot of...
Ano na sinabi niya? Ang Malta today is a Christian country. Although nagsasalita sila ng Arabic, ang sulat nila ay hindi man Arabic. Pero ang tinatawag sa Diyos nila is Allah, sabi ng isang researcher. Ito lang ako magtapos mga kapatid. Maraming salamat sa inyong pakikinig. Sino mapagdyan na against sa salita ng Allah o pangalan ng Allah, sana buksan ng Allah ang iyong puso at guide kayo sa tamang paniniwala na ang Allah ay talaga Diyos ng mga Semitic people. Ang Semitic ibig sabihin itong Arabo, itong Aramaic, Hebrew is our Semitic people. They are using Semitic languages. So maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Ito po ang inyong lingkod, Ibrahim Puncardas Romas. Subhanakallah, Allahumma bihamdika, asyhadu an la ilaha anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.